All right, welcome to episode 3 of the Greatest People You've Never Met podcast. I am your host, Bennett Senf. Today, back to you again with another in-studio guest, longtime friend of mine, Taylor Kotewa. Going to talk a little bit about his journey to where he's at today. I find it extremely interesting. He's a business owner. He's in the long way to go, short time to get there business of over-the-road trucking. So without further ado, let's get in today's episode. TK, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you, brother.
Hey.
So I guess just start off, just give us a little backdrop of you, who is Taylor Kotewa, who is TK.
Who is me? Yeah. I guess where do you start?
Birth to now. Go.
Birth to now. Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, grew up in Minnesota. Grew up on a farm. We raised pigs. Grew corn and soybeans. Did a lot of farming work, and family's still there. My grandpa started the farm, and Dad has helped build it and expand it, and my brothers have continued on with that. That heritage of jumping in to help grow it and take care of everything. So super excited. I'm proud of where I came from. Proud of the farming community. Taught our family, taught me a lot about hard work, about taking care of things and having responsibilities. With farm animals and with things on the farm. Like if you're not there to take care of them, or if you're sick or you don't show up, I mean, things are going to go sideways pretty quick, and people need to be fed, animals need to be fed. So yeah, super proud of where I came from, and how I grew up. It's definitely translated a lot in my life to things that I'm doing now, and things that I'm looking to probably bring my family back someday when I have kids. Like, I want to take them to the farm. I want to take them back and show them like what it's like growing up there, what it's like to learn the things that you do out on the farm, because you can't get it really anywhere else.
Right. That's part of what I wanted to touch on with you today. Is like, I'm glad you brought that up, because like even myself, just like, working on the farm for other people growing up in the bacon capital of the world, right? Like, you do learn a lot of those responsibilities real fast, whether it's your family farm or you're doing that for other people, and they rely on you, and it's an interesting thing to me that you're here. So, when we look back at like people back home, that's, I'd say like a lot of people's excuse for never leaving, right? Like, well, I have the farm. So talk to me a little bit about that. Like, did you ever feel like it was your job to like stay at home? Did you ever think that was life? That's what it was going to be. TK was staying back in Martin County and running the farm.
Yeah, that's a good question. And a lot of people ask that, and honestly, I've never had the pressure to be that, to do that. I think when it came time to maybe make that decision, or when it was time for the next place to, I mean, my dad's still pretty young. I mean, we grew up pretty, so he's been there, and he's been able to take care of things, and where we haven't needed to have that kind of next generation pop up until my brothers kind of came into that. My younger brother Carter has definitely stepped into that role, and he is all in on it. So it's actually pretty funny to observe and to watch, and to actually honestly be inspired by, because he's so intuitive. He is smart. He has taken things that both my grandpa, my dad, my grandma, all the people, and then taken what they have done, what they've taught him, and then also learning on his own. And he went to school for it, and it's kind of always from a young age been known that he was kind of going to be the one to be there most of the time. So no, I haven't had the pressure to do that, or felt like I had to do it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think that if I really, I guess I'm at a point where in my life where I wouldn't probably be there full time. It's really fun to go back in certain times of year, like with planting and harvest. Man, it's awesome. Like, you've been around there. Mm-hmm. It's really special to be able to kind of sow what you reap.
Reap what you sow.
Reap what you sow. Yeah, I had that backward.
Yeah.
And all the hard work that goes into it, and just to be around family as well. So no, I haven't felt that pressure.
Yeah. So you touched on like Carter being the one that you kind of always felt was going to be that guy to want to be in that and do that. And obviously he is doing really well. I've been talking to him through some of your things. What was that telltale sign that it was going to be Carter?
Well, it could change. I mean,
sure.
At any point, like he might get sick of it. I don't know, but I highly doubt it. I mean, he's pretty locked in and invested. I mean, he just built his own pig barn for bacon, and a fairly large one at that. And I don't see him slowing down anytime soon. He's working his way into getting land himself also and renting it and farming it himself. So he'll be there a while, and who knows? My other brothers might do the same thing, and I might at some point, someday as well, maybe in a different role. But right now, no, I don't. I would just help and support them as much as I could. Yeah.
So moving here, I think it's pretty unique now because for the people that don't know, TK has 3 younger brothers. Casey and Carter are twins, and then there's Alex. So Casey and Alex are now here, and Carter's back around the farm. So three of you are here. What was like your driving to come here? So I know you went to school in St. Paul at St. Thomas, right?
Yep.
And then you stayed up there for a little bit. So you experienced that metro. What was your drive to come to Arizona? What set your sights here?
Yeah, that was kind of a went from polar opposites. Went from the farm town to the big city in St. Thomas, and that was definitely a transition for me. I think there's one other kid in my whole building in my class that I'm very good friends with now, and then he was in my wedding here last month. That was a farmer as well, and so we bonded over that and have been very close, obviously, since then. But how I got down here is I worked up in the Twin Cities for 3-4 years after I graduated, and I would just in the winter, I'd come down here and come on vacation, and at one point I was ready to make a change in my life. I think for about a year and a half, I was telling myself I would quit the job that I was in because it just wasn't fulfilling to me. I was upset, and it was kind of toxic sometimes, and I hope this podcast doesn't get big enough for people to understand what where I'm talking about. But it just kind of pulled the trigger, and ever since then, I've kind of made decisions on a whim and just went with it.
Yeah.
So I'd come down here for a vacation, and then I said, why don't I just move down here? So moved down. And then about a week or 2 later, I had already had commitments to go on a mission trip out to Indonesia. So flew down here, went to Indonesia on a mission trip for a week, and flew back. And I think it was 40 some hours worth of flights between flights and airports, and it was rough, but it was such a great experience. And I wouldn't have traded that experience for the world. It was truly, truly special to see what's going on over there in the organization that we went to. But yeah, ever since I just fell in love with Arizona. The weather obviously is amazing. Summers, you get used to them.
Yeah.
Just kind of deal with it. I mean, we don't have to get into that. I mean, we talk about it all the time.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, just kind of found a family, found a community here. We have a great group of friends. I met my wife here. It's just where I want to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, for me, obviously I've been here just over a year now, and I think the greatest part of being here is how much my perspective has changed on the world, and especially personally, you can be anybody you want to be. And when you live in a place like this, I mean, we were kind of talking about it on our way here, how right now we're in Scottsdale and we just drove past these millions of dollars homes, right? It's incredible to see. And then, you cross a line in town and you see the exact opposite of that, the worst of the worst situation people can live in right now. What do you think personally has been the biggest eye opener? How have you like spiritually, I guess, or like mentally felt yourself change since coming to a community like this?
I mean, 100%. I was baptized before I came down. I found Christ again when I was up in Minnesota, and when I moved down here, got plugged into a church, and more so even to a community of believers and people that I consider even to this day like really close friends. Like we've stayed very, very connected, and found a great support system. I don't know. I forgot what your question was, but
it just is like asking, like, how have you felt yourself? Like, personally, like I felt like a definitely more open-minded perspective to the world and to life since I've made the move from rural America to here. Just how has that changed your perspective being here on everything that you see?
Yeah, it's there's just a lot of opportunity, like you said, and not only opportunity for yourself, but for other people as well, to help out in situations. I mean, you see a lot of, in certain areas, you see, obviously we talked about it on the way down, you see a lot of homelessness and people that are struggling, and in this, there's more resources available to be able to help, to point people in the right direction, and it's, I don't know. I feel so connected, and I'm sure you do as well, to the community, that you want to help out and you want to be a part of it and to make things better here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you talked about the new group of friends, and obviously, like, I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of these people, and they are truly salt of the earth people. And my first year here would have not been the same without all of them. Thankful, for you for introducing Ton and I to all those people, and it's been incredible. Thankful for Ty as well, helping that relationship out. But
some of them are a little spicy.
They are. And they're all good people, and we have so much fun every time we're together. And, like my 30th birthday, here, everybody just showing up. That was a ton of fun. So thankful for that. But one thing I do want to touch on before we go is it was the best man in your wedding, one of the people that you obviously met down here, Andrew, Drew.
Yeah.
I want you to tell everybody the Mike Bibby story.
I knew this was going. All right. Okay. So Andrew and I, one day after work, I think we just stopped down to the park, just shoot hoops. This was up at Horizon, and we're just playing around in the courts. And a guy walked up and he said, "Hey, do you guys want to play 21 or whatever?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. That sounds good." This guy's big. We thought he just came from the gym. He's got his basketball shoes on, a headband, and a cutoff, and didn't know who he was. We just pulled up, and so we started playing 21, and as we were playing, he started to become a little bit more familiar. He introduced himself. I said, "Hey, what's your name?" Name's Chris, and I said, "I'm Taylor. This is Andrew." So yeah, we're playing around, and then all of a sudden, I think in later on the first game, he didn't drive to the hoop. He just would sit back and shoot threes, and eventually everything was falling, just scorching cords. And this is like a Walmart basketball. This isn't even like a seamed ball. It's like one of those blue and black ones, what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he eventually, like, both of Andrew and I were going out to guard him, and he would shake us both pretty easily and just do him. And I think Andrew asked, "Did you play ball anywhere or something?" He's like, "Yeah, I played in Sacramento, Miami." And I was like, "Okay, that's weird. Where would you play a ball like that?" And I think at the end of the game, and what some lady and it was his wife, was underneath the hoop at the bottom, like videotaping him and his daughter. So it turned out that she was there doing volleyball practice or something, because there's volleyball courts right next door. And so she's videotaping, and they're just laughing, giggling. I'm like, what the heck? Like, didn't really think anything of it. And so we started to realize something weird was going on, and so we recognized he had some tattoos on his arm. And Andrew, we were done, and we went back, and Andrew's like, "Dude, that wasn't Chris. I think that was Mike Bibby." and I was like, "What? No way!" And so we Yeah, it turned out that it was Mike Bibby. Was not his. He introduced his name as Chris Is Be Funny, you know,
right.
and we both didn't believe him. We didn't recognize him because he had put on, you know, he just started going to the gym, and I think he's put out some articles since that, you know, in the NBA they wanted him to be a little bit leaner because whatever reason.
Yeah.
And so he really filled out, and we honestly did not recognize him. And this was so his wife must have sent the video to his son, you know, as a family joke, and his son posted it on Twitter, and it gained some virality pretty quickly. Last time I checked, this was a long time ago, it was like 400,000 views. It's like on NBA.com. The headlines are local hoopsters don't recognize Mike Bibby, a local legend who played at U of A, and you know, everybody from here knows Mike Bibby. You know, Andrew's from Nebraska. I'm from Minnesota, and we knew of Mike Bibby, heard his name, but never really knew exactly what he, you know, kind of knew what he looked like, but still, he didn't recognize me because he looked different. Yeah. So that's a little 10 seconds of viral fame. Everyone says it happens once in your life, and I guess that's our embarrassing moment.
Yeah, I mean, I'll never forget the first time you told me that story, and I couldn't stop laughing. And then I looked up the tweet, and then there's like a bunch of sub-tweets of it, and it's like, everybody's like, how the hell do you not know who Mike Bibby is? And it's hilarious because he is jacked, and like you can see that in the video. Like, I don't think a lot of people would have guessed, like, this is Mike Bibby. I mean, that's also, he played in the early 2000s. That was 2017, so good 15 years removed from his playing career. So but no, that's one of my favorite TK, like, just haha funny stories. So I had to make sure that we got that in there today. So I guess I want to transition a little bit, talk about, you know, your business life. I think it's extraordinary what you've been able to do. I don't think you give yourself enough credit, especially in these times. So for those of you that don't know, Taylor is the owner, founder of One Distribution. And so just tell us a little bit about that, where that got started at, and where that vision came from. I mean, I don't think it's every day that somebody just wakes up and decides, well, I'm going to start a trucking business today.
Yeah, right. It just came from, I guess it came from experience. You know, it's starting at being when I was in college, I worked on a dock and kind of picked up a lot of the things that happened in the logistics business through working for that company. And then, again, the company that purchased them at that time worked for them for 2-3 years. So it wasn't always easy, especially early on. I remember the first job, the guys, they would smoke in the office. And, you know, I'm just the lowly guy that's paid hourly. That, you know, there's no air conditioning either. So there'd be cigarette and cigar smoke in the office, and you know, nobody was there to say anything different. So I remember going home with pretty bad headaches at the end of the day, and since there's no AC, I not fondly, but I remember sweating over invoices, right? You know, as I'm putting them together on the table and mailing stuff out or doing whatever I did at the time. And so, it's really funny to look back now and see how crazy that actually was at the time. And so, just you know, I've been told that I've had kind of an old soul. I've recognized that I haven't really done the same things that other people have done throughout, you know, other people my age at least. I love to put myself into, you know, call it work if you want to, but just figuring things out and having, you know, creating better efficiencies and making life easier on certain people and just doing a good job. And I think that has, in order to do those things, a lot of effort goes into it. You know, when you're so invested in something, you start dreaming about it. And I know many nights I've woken up just rambling off about how, you know, this or this is happening, you know, pertaining to what I was doing at the time. And so, you know, when I left the job up in Minnesota and moved down, I took a chance on myself. I knew that it was going to be something that, you know, I have to give myself a little bit of time to try out and start my own business. I moved down here and just kind of dove into it. I tried my best. This was the logistics business. This wasn't even the trucking company at this time.
Right.
And not many people know this, but it got to the point in where I was cashing out a lot of my retirement account just to be able to get by. And I remember going to Target to get groceries one time, and my card got declined because I didn't have any money. I was broke.
Yeah.
And so it was tough, but I honestly, like, I wasn't too worried about it. I knew it was all going to work out. Whatever happened, it was going to work out. And just about the time I gave up and got a different job, stuff started to slowly roll in. We started moving more customer freight. We started, this is, again, the logistics company by myself, lining things up for the customers in the trucks and whatever. And so it really picked up. And about a year in, we had the opportunity, not me, to figure out something in San Diego where they had a specific need for a certain kind of transportation that was asset-based in that area. And I looked into it, and I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I said, yeah, I'll figure it out.
Yep.
I can do it. Yeah, I can do it. I'll figure it out. I made sure that I sounded confident about it, but I wasn't.
Right.
I wasn't confident about it. I didn't know how to do it. I've never done that before.
Yep.
I didn't know how to buy a truck. I didn't know how to go and what all the different, especially in California, the regulatory processes that they have, keeping it all straight and doing that sort of thing. And it was hard, but we executed on our commitments, and everything went well. And that was about the time that we brought a couple people on, and my brother being one of them, and CJ, and they're great people.
Yeah.
Helped me figure everything out and fill in the pieces that I was missing and do the things that I wasn't good at doing. That's kind of been the key successful factor in this whole ordeal. I mean, we're 5 years in,
right?
And it's been the people. It's been the team, the family that we put together to do a good job for our customers and to live out a life that, you know, we enjoy doing in our careers, and not just being something that you hate your job from 9 to 5 and then going home. So that was a year into logistics company. The logistics company is still operating. We've got a couple guys. Both of them actually were former One Distribution employees that we moved over to the brokerage, and because they wanted to try something else. But yeah, right now we have 9 trucks in the trucking company. We're trying a couple different wing offs. We put on some owner operators, so we're able to give guys that kind of have that entrepreneurial spirit themselves to own their own vehicles or own their own trucks, and then we help support them with customer freight and handling billing, payables, all the admin type stuff, and permitting and all those other types of things. And so we have the company guys, the owner operators, and who knows where we're going to go from here, but it's going really well. I think last year, I just looked at the numbers. We just got back from the wedding. I'm still catching up, but
yep.
We did just in the trucking company, we did $500,000 this first quarter.
That's incredible.
It's 154% growth over the year prior. So I'm thankful. I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I'm happy to be able to provide a life for everyone that's in our company, that they're able to support their families. We're all in it together. It's definitely not just me, but it's just a team deal.
Right. I mean, that's why I know you were a little, I don't want to say you were reluctant in coming on, but you didn't think like, I could, talk about it or anything. But your story is incredible, TK, and I don't think you give yourself enough credit. Just want to backtrack a little bit from the logistics side to the distribution side. What was that gig out in San Diego that got you started? What was that? What was that?
I can't share the trade secrets.
Okay. But I mean, it's it's a nice little story, I guess. So, but how long did it take you then to get from that one truck to two? What was that?
It was probably 3 to 4 months from the time we went from San Diego up to the second one, which is up in San Francisco area.
Yep.
And so it's definitely a unique model in that, a lot of companies that have a physical location, a physical office, and we've never had that. It's always been remote. All the trucks are in their own locations. We use outside vendors and have great relationships with people that take care of us. With the things that you would normally find at trucking companies' own yards. So, and even the office guy, for the brokerage and logistics stuff, everyone works from home. They're able to have that flexibility. So I mean, when the pandemic hit, honestly nothing really changed.
Right.
Everything's pretty much the same, and I don't know if that was set up by design or if that was just how it worked out, and we're able to decrease that overhead of having that, and it just worked out, and so yeah.
Well, you're ahead of the curve. I mean, literally, like whether you knew it or not, that's
Is that a coronavirus joke?
I guess. I mean, yeah, it's 15 days to slow the curve, just so you know, 3 years later. But no, I think it is fantastic, and I love that you talked about, because that is a very personal part of it, and especially when you start something or you take a risk, like. I mean, I can't imagine how many sleepless nights, like, especially when you're very personal there, and you talked about going to get groceries and there's not money there, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's part of why I wanted to do this pod. And yeah, some of these talks will be deep and serious, and others will be funny and whatever. But I think, I mean, I don't want to like dive into it, but like, I think that's a spot that many people have found themselves at for a lot of time. Like whatever that wall is, and they want to just quit. They want to give up.
Yeah.
What was it? What kept you going? Like what? I mean, yeah, exactly. What kept you going? I mean, that is everybody's faced a rock, and I think like most people are ready to run away. I mean, there's a quote out there that 90% of men are just running from their problems, and like that, So
Yeah.
I think that's the easy way out, is just to say, well, it's done. I failed. Like what made you wake up the next morning and just keep going?
You know what? Honestly, I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I actually went at that time when the story about the groceries, and I was interviewing at certain places, and when it turned around, like I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know if it was just like God's will or the plan that it was. I mean, I feel like I was more than qualified for a lot of positions, but like it just wasn't. It didn't work out that way.
Right.
I could have got a different job. It could have went that way. It could have this all could have never happened.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I think for me personally, I had a chip on my shoulder. I don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
And even to this day, like I still feel that chip. I still got it. It's something that gets me excited. I've found out a lot about myself in this whole process, and what kind of drives me, what pushes me forward.
Right.
What gets me excited about creating new business or helping people out or creating new efficiencies or helping our own employees out in their day-to-day jobs.
Yeah.
And seeing things that are happening and fixing them, and then also looking down the road, just like what issues may we have, and how can we not or stop them from happening, or what are we going to do in this situation to prevent them from happening, or what are we going to do to if it does happen.
Right.
So yeah, there's a lot to that.
Mm-hmm. I kind of want to piggyback off that for a second. So like in the last year, I mean 2 years, 3 years, whenever coronavirus started, I mean everybody, especially like business owners, right? Whether you're in sales, whatever, everybody's seen problems and felt problems, and you talked about like now picking them up before they go. How has your forecasting of those things changed? Like, I mean, I know from a personal standpoint, like the trucking industry right now it's absolutely insane, right? Like freight loads are through the roof, and I know like I've heard horror stories of literally guys like leaving trailers on the side of the road and going and picking up something else, and like that thing's like how have you navigated around all of this, and how have you? I mean, obviously we know that you're a good dude, and like how you're true to your word, but how have you continued to build your brand through one of probably the worst times to build a business? How have you continued to go up and hit that 154% growth? What's set one distribution apart over the last 2 years through all this madness?
It's definitely been madness. I mean, it's been so up and down. Mm-hmm. The market. I mean, we have gotten into relationships with people that needed their freight moved in a dedicated capacity, so that they can rely on us, we can rely on them for the work, and we're not out in the spot market chasing stuff around. I'm not sure if you know what that. It's basically like there's certain things that you can just go and work through different brokers, and it's just a weird world. We try to work with our customers directly to support them, and that's kind of what's pushed us forward, is having weekly or monthly check-ins with our customers. Just say, hey, how's everything going? A lot of times we don't even talk about work. We just talk about each other's lives, what's going on, and if work stuff comes up, or if there's actually things that need to be fixed, which there was to begin with any you start any company, there's certain things that there's going to be hurdles right away, and I think with the ones that we've set up, the contracts anyway, we've gotten those things and addressed them right away, and then everything pretty much flows pretty seamlessly, and then we're just kind of growing internally from there to expand our capacities, to provide more insightful knowledge, to have better analytics, to service the customer better. So yeah, that's where I think we're at.
What were some of those hurdles? So you're 5 years in, and I mean, that's very infant status in any business, right?
Yeah.
So what if some of those, not just COVID related, but like if you looked at the outside world, like everybody's like talking about finding people, right? Like people's the hurdle. What's been your biggest hurdle on just like strictly the business side, keeping everything going?
Keeping everything going, for probably finding people.
Yeah.
We've had some luck with like job boards, stuff like that, and being able to find someone. But a lot of our guys, it's just word of mouth.
Right.
One of my favorite stories actually is about a guy that jumped on with us. He started in California, and so how it all started was I was working in the logistics part, and we had a load of, I think, ammunition canisters or whatever it was from Utah to Virginia Beach, I think, and I was working on finding a truck for it, and I ended up talking to this guy, and we just got into a conversation on the phone. Like it happens sometimes where you just start talking to someone, mm-hmm. and it's not just about the work, the pertinent details of a certain order. We just kind of got into it, and I mentioned kind of what we were doing in California, and he said, I won't forget this. He said, my son actually is moving back to California, and that sounds like something that he actually would be interested in. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, if you want to pass along his information, or have him reach out to me, I'd be happy to chat about it and see where we can, where we could go from there and see if it works out. And ended up talking to him. He's a great guy. We ended up hiring him, and he jumped in the truck and started doing kind of North County, San Diego deliveries. And not till I think when he started, he got trained in, and we were out to dinner with he and his girlfriend at the time, now fiance, and he is telling me, he said, Taylor, listen, I was driving over the road, and I told him. My girlfriend at the time that I was going to move back to California, and we didn't have anything figured out, and I wanted to be back with her, and so that we could spend more time together and kind of grow our life together and move forward. And I had nothing lined up when I decided this, and a week later is when my dad end up talking to you on the phone, and when we figured everything out, and it was just like a line of the stars, and we call it divine intervention.
Yeah,
like something like that. And he's amazing. He's such a great guy, and he does such a good job, and he's good with all of our team members and our customers, and so happy to have him. So it's stuff like that things come along, and there's definitely some outside help.
Absolutely.
In all of that, and it's not just us and the things that we do, but also things that are just how they are meant to be, or we get some help.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We do. One thing I guess I wanted to touch on, and it's something that I hope to do while we grow the pod, and you kind of talked about it, but I think everybody listens to a podcast for a different reason, right? And I want to do this so many different ways, and there's somebody out there that's trying to start a business right now that hopefully hears your podcast and they can just keep going. But in general, if you could give, we've both done, different things in life, and you're a risk taker, and I love that about you. So from moving from, Martin County to here or whatever, right? All those things, starting your own business, literally going in and being declined on the groceries. What is the one thing, if somebody was reluctant to do something, that Taylor would tell them?
It's like the old Nike slogan, just do it.
Yeah.
Right? You'll figure it out. Just go ahead. Just start. Do something.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't wait around. Just do whatever needs to be done first. Do it. And I wouldn't say, a lot of people I see that I think is prohibitive is that they advertise it first. They post it on their Instagram. I'm doing this. I'm going to do this, and keep it to yourself. Go do it first, and then once you've done it or you're working on it, then people will come to it. When I started getting my private pilot's license here,
right.
I didn't tell anybody.
Yeah,
I only told Morgan and maybe one or two other people, but I don't want to. Oh, Taylor's getting his pilot's license. It was a thing where I wanted to do it first, and then be able to celebrate with my friends or celebrate that. But I didn't tell anyone until I soloed myself, which has been quite. I didn't flying a plane myself. I had no idea that I was even capable of doing that.
Right.
And it's been one of the most therapeutic and exciting things that I've done in a while.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I guess, talk about that for a second. I saw one morning, you're Saturday morning traffic and you're sitting in line.
Yeah.
What just spurred that decision? I just touched on, you're a risk taker. There is nothing that, there is no doubt that if Taylor Kotewa told me he was doing something, or I want to do this, that it would be done, right? So what, you just wake up one morning and you're I think I want to be a pilot, or?
I think that when things are put, this is just for me personally, but I think that when things are put into your mind, or you feel a nudge or something pulling you along to do something more than once,
mm-hmm.
if it keeps happening in your mind or it keeps popping up, then it's probably something that you should take seriously.
Yeah.
And flying the planes, that was something that I've wanted to do since I was a kid. I've always enjoyed. When I went to St. Thomas, I was going to do the Air Force ROTC, or I actually was in the Air Force ROTC for a hot second.
Yeah, had a cup of coffee with the Air Force ROTC.
Yeah, basically. At that time, it was tough for me to take direction from people, and so it just didn't work out at that time. College in general just didn't work out for me. It just wasn't something that I was quite interested in, and it wasn't appealing to me. And I think partially some of it was some results of high school and college football.
Yeah.
With head injuries and being able to focus and whatnot and stuff like that. But yeah, I've kind of felt, and I've been more aware of things when they continue to be, not at the forefront of your mind, but I would like to do that, or that pops back up in your mind. Okay, Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I'll look into it, and then at a certain point, just sign up and go.
Yeah. So is one distribution getting in the next day delivery game then, or is that what's next?
It's same day right now.
Same day. All right. Well, next day across the country though.
No.
Okay.
You're gonna need rocket ships.
So as we wind down here today, one thing that I think is get a hoot out of people is, what's your guilty pleasure song? What's that you would never tell any of us that you listen to when you're by yourself, that you're kind of embarrassed of?
You know what? I should have been prepared for this. I heard you ask D something like this or something similar, and honestly, I don't have an answer for that.
Really?
I listen to different genres of music, just depending on my mood, but to be quite honest, and it might be weird to some people, but I just like to sit in silence when I'm driving.
Really?
Yeah, like I like to listen. I won't say like to, but it just kind of happens. Like my mind is so everywhere that if I'm excited, especially if I'm excited about something, like I'll start thinking about it. And driving is usually the time that I can spend thinking about it, where I'm not distracted.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you, brother. I think you're genuinely one of the greatest people that I've ever met. I know that you were not, like I said, not reluctant to come on, but I think your story is great, and I think that people need to hear it, so I'm glad we could do this. I appreciate everyone listening. Please rate 5 stars, subscribe, unsubscribe, subscribe again, do all that, share to your personals. We'll be back next week with another episode. Thank you so much.
The grass is only greener where you water it. Grass is only greener where you water it.